Hi, everybody. Thank you for joining Early Birds. Definitely checking in early. We are going to get the show going at about 10:15, so go ahead and grab your coffee, grab everyone around, and check us out back at 10:15. Make sure you reload your screen just in case.
I'm Bob Gebbia, CEO of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, and it's an honor for me to welcome you to the Out of the Darkness experience. A heartfelt thanks goes to all of you, our amazing friends and supporters, for participating in this event and for raising awareness and funds for suicide prevention. Now, clearly, much has changed since last year's Out of the Darkness community walk. It's a challenging time. And on behalf of all of us at AFSP, our thoughts are with you and your families during this pandemic. We hope you are staying safe and healthy. And I can assure you the pandemic has not deterred AFSP from its work. We've adapted our life-saving programs, delivering them virtually, wherever and whenever possible, including Talk Saves Lives, our most used public education program. From the start of the pandemic, AFSP has been a leading voice about caring for one's mental health, using traditional and social media to convey messages about self-care, that physical distancing doesn't mean social isolation, and about staying in treatment or seeking treatment through telemental health. Now, we continue to make progress across all areas of our work. Our investment in research has continued with 38 new studies funded since the start of the pandemic. We reached 1 million people during May Mental Health Month with our hashtag #RealConvo campaign. And in June, we launched new Seize the Awkward public service ads to empower teens and young adults to help a friend who is struggling. We held 38 state advocacy days since last fall, and the first ever virtual federal advocacy, where we had 1,400 participants from 50 states contact their members of Congress to support improved crisis services for people in emotional distress. And as an organization, we are speaking out about the inequities in access to mental health care, in particular for communities of color, and we continue to advocate for ending all health care disparities. Our interactive screening program continues to be used in schools and workplaces, giving people a safe and anonymous way to reach out for support. Since the start of the program, we've connected over 180,000 people to help they would not have otherwise sought. And when suicide does occur, AFSP is there to support the families and friends with programs and resources. This year alone, we will host more than 400 International Survivors of Suicide Loss Day events to offer comfort and support. None of this work would be possible without all of you and hundreds of thousands of others. We need you to be involved because our work is more critical than ever. Based on the latest CDC data, the suicide rate in the U.S. continues to trend up. And we are concerned that the isolation and grief and economic impact of the pandemic could contribute to further loss of life from suicide. But we believe an increase in suicide isn't inevitable, and with greater investment in mental health care and suicide prevention now, we can avert any increase and save many lives. Your participation in this event is lifting up those who struggle with thoughts of suicide, and you are remembering loved ones who we've lost, sons and daughters, siblings and parents, spouses, partners, and friends. The involvement of each of you is so critical to our mission of saving lives and bringing hope to those affected by suicide. Everything AFSP is doing is a direct result of your willingness to get involved. I hope you will stay involved. Because of you, we are able to fight for a day when no one will die by suicide. I look forward to seeing you all in person at an event sometime in the future. But until then, thank you and stay safe.
Hi, my name is Tinsley. I am a singer-songwriter from Seattle, and I am really honored to be a part of the Out of Darkness experience today. I wrote a song and I'm here to share it with you, and I hope you enjoy it. Heaven, eyes, will you stay tonight to know there's still light in the dark? Thought I had time, but it was stolen. I fell from grace. Hi, my name is Tinsley. I'm swollen. I limp around. I'm in a haze. and see that time can be a beautiful thing. Heaven eyes start to my skies, lay a blanket out with me in the park, and I will speak my heart and how it's breaking, surrender to the give and taking. I won't ask for much, I just need your hand. I won't ask for much, I just need your hand. Oh, sit with me in the silence, tell me you understand. You understand. How I am trying to find my will to sing and see that time can still be a beautiful thing. Thank you so much. I hope you have a great rest of your day.
Hey everybody, make sure you stick around. About 10 more minutes, we're gonna get things going, and we have some amazing guest speakers coming up. We've got tons of great info. So get your coffee, get ready, get settled, and make sure you reload just in case you missed the start of it. You don't want to. So be back in 10 minutes.
Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you so much for everything you've done this year. Let's keep going.
Hi, everybody. Welcome to the 2020 Out of Darkness experience. We are so happy to have you. I am Emily Rains. I'm on 100.7 The Wolf, the Morning Wolf Pack with Matt McAllister, you may have heard. And if you've listened before, you know why I'm here today. You know my story, but for those of you that don't, the AFSP and the Out of the Darkness experience is so important to me. Unfortunately, my story with suicide started at 4 years old when I had my first suicidal thought. And at that age, I didn't know what was going on. I just knew I didn't want to live. And I battled those thoughts my whole life, but never shared it with anyone. I wanted to portray this perfect little happy girl, so I never let anyone know. Then when I was 19, unfortunately, my dad took his own life. And that just propelled me even further into my own depression and led to my own suicide attempt. So at that point, I could no longer hide what I was feeling, and I was able to get help. And then unfortunately, 5 years ago, my middle brother committed suicide. So it definitely runs in the family for us. It is not something that anyone wishes to go through, but since I've gone through that, I know how important it is to share my experience, and that's one of the reasons why I partner up with the AFSP, is because sharing your experiences and getting that support is so important. You are not alone in what you've gone through. And also, I like the AFSP and partner with them because of the research aspect. You know, it's one thing to share your story and to handle the emotional side, but there's also a physical aspect to depression, to mental illness, and to suicidal ideation. So with AFSP putting so much money into research, just another great reason to partner with them. And we want to welcome all of you who are tuning in because you care about preventing suicide. So we acknowledge that you are here for different reasons. Maybe you've lost a loved one. Maybe you are having your own battle and struggle with suicide, or maybe you're just here to support a family member or a friend or the community in general. And usually the Out of the Darkness experience looks a little different. We have walks going on across the state of Washington, about 8 of them every year. So if you have been to one of those in Seattle or Spokane, Everett, Bellingham, Bremerton, Aberdeen, Olympia, Tacoma, we want to welcome you to this year's Out of the Darkness experience and want you to know that we do miss you, absolutely, but we are still all in this together and we're still bringing hope to the situation. Now, many of you have been to an Out of the Darkness experience and know that it's usually a walk. But this year with the experiences, we want you to make it your own. So a lot of people have done self-care, which is amazing, or done something to remember your loved one. If they loved canoeing, you've gone canoeing. If they loved to hike, you've gone hiking. I know our team, Team Wolfpack with the 100.7 The Wolf, we decided to walk 0.7 miles for 100.7. So we had everyone hold up a sign that said, I walk with the Wolfpack for, and who they walked for. And it's been amazing to see people walk for themselves, people walk for their family member or a loved one. They just walk for the Wolfpack community in general because they know that sharing their story is so important. And they've been walking on hikes, they've been walking on treadmills. Unfortunately, with the smoke, it made it a little hard to get out there, but people are walking with their dogs. So it's been awesome to see those experiences at the Wolf, but also we want to see your experiences. So make sure you're sharing them. You could leave a comment, you could post your pictures, tag AFSPWA. We'd love to see how you're doing your Out of the Darkness experience, and we challenge you to not end it today. Yeah, we might be ending our Out of the Darkness experience, but it doesn't end. So keep remembering those loved ones, keep doing your self-help and self-care, and keep sharing them. Now, I'd love to welcome Justine, a good friend of mine and an AFSP advocate. So, Justine, welcome.
Well, thank you so much, Emily. We're so excited to have Emily here today as we experience the Out of the Darkness experience in a totally different way.
Yep.
We are social distancing.
Yes.
And we are taking all the precautions, but we do miss you. We miss the energy of the crowd. We miss seeing everybody's faces. But we're so excited for this opportunity to not only engage with the folks that are here live, but hopefully on the replay as well. As you continue throughout the day and throughout this 1 hour presentation, AFSP really wants you to know that you're not alone. We want you to know that AFSP is a leader in suicide prevention and that we have resources. We want you to connect, and we want you to know that there are people out there that understand and that you have a community. AFSP supports the work and the mission of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. And what that really is, it really starts with a conversation. We believe and know that by having a conversation, being open with your story, being willing to share your story like Emily has done for many years and been such a great support system for so many, that it truly is a way for people to connect. And really when it comes down to it, it's really a way for all of us to realize we're not alone in our struggles. So at AFSP, our mission is save lives and bring hope to those affected by suicide. What does that really mean to me? That means as I travel throughout Washington State and I work with amazing volunteers like Emily, and you'll get to meet Laurel here shortly, and hundreds across the state, that we are focused and rooted on research, on education, on advocacy, and more importantly, on a community, a sense of community around suicide prevention and mental health. Funding science research is a priority for AFSP. We know by building the research and by building education, we know we can save lives. AFSP is also, Emily, the #1 funder of suicide prevention research in the nation.
That's so awesome.
Outside of the government, yeah, and that's because of people like you. It's because of supporters like you. Every dollar, every cent at this point, we need to continue to support the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. We also believe right now, more than ever, it's the impact. It's advocating for you who are watching, for us that are here, and for people that are struggling that we just don't know about yet. We want to advocate so that our politicians, our people that we have elected into office know and understand that we need to be focused on mental health and suicide prevention. We also want to support our survivors. So those that have lived through the aftermath of losing somebody by suicide, we want to support you. We want you to know you're not alone. And then, of course, those that provide their own personal experience. There's a lot of us out there. Later on today, we're going to be talking about our green beads, those that are attempt survivors, those that live with a mental health condition and are here every day fighting that battle. And we support you, we honor you, and we see you. So without that, I'm so excited for today.
I know.
And the people that we have in store as we move forward. And one of those people, it's a big honor of mine, Emily, to introduce Laurel Media. Laurel is part of the Washington State Board of Directors, and she is one of our chairmen of the Washington State Board of Directors. She has been involved for many years, and as a leader, she truly is one of you. She's truly representing Washington State and the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Without further
For
ado,
physical distancing, I will let Laurel take my spot.
Hi, so my name is Laurel Media, and I, as Justine said, am a chairperson for your Washington State chapter. 10 years ago, I was impacted by suicide. I lost my husband, Eric. He had struggled with bipolar and depression and anxiety. And when he died, I felt very alone. I felt that there was nobody that could understand my loss. And Over time, I found the AFSP and started engaging in walks, the Out of the Darkness community walks, the overnights, and I found a sense of community. I found a sense of belonging, that my story wasn't an isolated event, that there were people that understood me, that saw me. And as a result of that, I decided that I would start volunteering and planning these walks and these events and connecting with lost survivors and those that are feeling the way that I felt so many years ago. And it's a privilege to be able to stand here and share that story and speak with so many. And so as we are working towards physical distancing, not social distancing, it's really important that we all still connect, that we share that message of hope. And so one of the things that I have loved about this experience with AFSP is that I have a really amazing opportunity to share experiences with lost survivors. So we offer healing conversations, which is one of the wonderful things we get to do from the Out of the Darkness events. We connect lost survivors that are trained with other lost survivors, and they are able to connect and know that they're not in this journey alone. And it's a very intimate moment, and it is, again, that connecting and that bringing hope to others. Education is another amazing thing that we get to do. We get to go into schools and businesses and bring in training so that you can learn about suicide prevention, so you can learn the signs, you can help your friend, you can help your family member. Advocacy, as Justine said, is another amazing opportunity where we get to share our stories and we get to speak for our state when we go to DC and we speak with our senators and our representatives. And the resources that are out there. One of the things that we just have been working on is the 3-digit number of 988. And because of the advocacy that we've been doing, we'll now be able to impact more lives and save lives. And then just sharing and being honest with one another. It's a family, and these walks, even though we're not together this year, there's still the opportunity to connect. And I am so grateful that I get to say thank you to each of you that are tuning in today, that have raised money, that have shown up and volunteered and done the work, that our board for Washington State is just grateful for each and every one of you. So thank you very much for participating this year.
Thank you so much, Laurel. You did fantastic, and thank you for sharing your story. We know your story impacts so many people, and speaking your truth and honoring Eric and your loved ones, I greatly appreciate that. So, Emily, we've got some time. I'd love to chat a little bit with you.
One of the things I think is so cool about the Out of the Darkness experience this time is that, unfortunately, since we can't be together, we get to have more people involved. So we said the 8 different places that we would normally walk, but now we've got people all throughout Washington that couldn't normally come, and I know throughout the country. We've got people in Arizona, we've got people in Georgia, we've got people in all different countries tuning in to the AFSP Washington chapter. And I wanted to ask you, Justine, what do you think the biggest contribution to AFSP is to the community?
That's a great question, and I so appreciate that question, because you know what? When I go out into the community, it really is about that connection. AFSP has a reach that no other organization truly has. We have people, like you just said, not only in Washington State, but across the nation, really across the world, that can tune in to AFSP, get the same resources, get the same information that they're going to be receiving here in Washington State, that they receive in Georgia or Arizona. So we can connect you. We can connect your loved ones. We can connect your family to localized resources, but also at the national level to be able to just access those information just as quickly as possible. The other thing is, when we go out into the community, I really get this sense of empowerment for people that have struggled, and seeing seeing volunteers like Laurel and yourself and other people that we have, when you show up and you're at a tabling booth or you're speaking at an event, there's this sense of like relief that comes with that. When people go, okay, we're addressing this, like I need to know this information, there's a real sense of relief. So even though we might show up and at first we're like, oh, suicide prevention, it really kind of goes into that deeper knowledge of, okay, this is where I can access information.
And you spoke about volunteers, and I know a lot of people have been doing the Out of the Darkness walk for years, or maybe this is your first time, but you want to do more, and you want to volunteer with the AFSP. So how do they do that, and what kind of opportunities are there?
Yeah, so Out of the Darkness is truly our biggest awareness event. We know we need to keep building this event throughout the years. So even though we took a pause this year for in-person, we need to make next year that much more bigger and better.
Right.
So in prior years in Washington State, we've had about 10,000 people join our walks throughout the state. Next year, it would be awesome to double that and bring in 20,000, even 50,000. But in order to do that, we're going to need people. We're going to need volunteers. We need people who are boots on the ground that will be able to ask for sponsorship, that will go out and find those additional people for us and share their story and share their truth. So it really is about coming to AFSP and helping us in that first initial Out of the Darkness community walk. We need all sorts of people, right? So people that like to be on the phone, to people that like to be out and about, to people that love to just organize. There's all sorts of different options and abilities. We also have the ability to do presentations out in the community. So once COVID is done and we're able to be more in person, we're going to have an opportunity for volunteers to be trained so that they can go out into the community and present and save lives and bring hope to those communities. So if you are interested in volunteering and would love more information, you can find us on the website at afsp.org/Washington. And there's actually a button right there, Emily, on the main page that says volunteer.
Oh,
and
awesome.
so it's a quick form, and we'd love to have you and anybody you know volunteer with us. And sometimes it's year-round, and sometimes it could be day of the event.
And it doesn't have to be a certain story. So you don't have to have a loved one necessarily or struggle yourself, but you just want to help the community. You're drawn to this cause, and we welcome you and obviously want you to volunteer.
Yeah. And I think, if anything, during this time, during this last 6 months, I think we've all felt that sense of mental health needs, right? And so this is a way that if you aren't struggling, if you aren't in a crisis right now, that's great. That's awesome. But how do you want to build that? The more people that understand, learn the warning signs, and are comfortable talking about suicide prevention, we're going to save lives. So even if you want to just learn more, get connected. Be part of the AFSP Washington State chapter.
Or if you're in a situation, I know I've heard personally from a couple of people that say, I have this story. I've attempted my own suicide, or I know someone, but I'm not quite to the point where I'm ready to open up and share it to the world yet. I mean, it is something that there's a stigma on that we're trying to get rid of, but I get it. Sometimes it's hard to put yourself out there, so you could volunteer in different ways, like you said, organizing or, answering phones, and you don't have to come out and say, hi, here's my story, but you're still helping, and you'll have a support group, and maybe one day you will get to that spot.
Absolutely. And I also, one of the questions that I get to is, well, if I volunteer, am I going to be sad every day?
Yeah.
And I hope Emily and anybody that interfaces with the chapter knows that we're not doom and gloom.
Right. No.
That we're a very positive, uplifting group. And by coming and volunteering, by investing your time, your money, your donations, you're not investing in something that's scary or something that we don't want to talk about, and so we're just getting by.
Right.
We want to ignite the conversation, and we need to bring that conversation out into the community. And by doing that, we're going to engage as many people as possible, and however people are comfortable with.
I think hope is a big word there. spreading hope. But you know, it's interesting because there are moments that are very touching. When we get to the bead ceremony, that's one. I know when we used to do these walks, seeing all the signs of people's faces that have lost loved ones. So you do have moments where emotionally it gets to you. And I have to tell you, those aren't even sad moments. You might, it's almost uplifting crying, or you know, the support you feel. So yes, you might think, yeah, but there are going to be moments. I know I'm going to cry, but you're crying as a team, you're crying as a group, and it's so healing in a way.
Mm-hmm. And just knowing that I have those feelings and it's okay.
Yeah.
Right? So, and so many times when we're in the community or we're out in public, we have to disguise those feelings. We have to disguise how what is coming out. And at AFSP, and definitely at the Out of the Darkness walks, we want you to come and feel safe. We want you to come and experience that there's a whole community standing behind those that have struggled, that have lost somebody, or even when you're on your journey of acknowledging your own mental health. Where does that begin? Like you said, sometimes it takes a little bit for us to realize that we are impacted by mental health,
right?
And that we do have a story. And so coming out and participating next year, hopefully, we will be able to build in a strong sense of community and become an event that everybody enjoys coming to.
Yeah. And so let's speak about donations for a minute, because I know right now it's a financially struggling, difficult time for a lot of people, but you could donate to the Out of the Darkness experience through the end of the year, correct?
That is so right. Yeah. So I acknowledge that this year can be very difficult for some. And it really is difficult for everybody in a sense, right?
I think we've all been impacted in one way or another.
Right? Either mentally or financially or whatever that looks like. But when you donate, you are helping the vital, and I say vital because it truly is vital resources that are out in the community right now that AFSP is supporting and honoring. By your donations, we're able to fund the research, fund the advocacy, fund awareness at the national level. But when you look at it at Washington state level, we have packets of information that go out to our community each and every day, to people that have lost somebody. There's a name, there are families behind that. Because of your support, you are able to help us support that person. It's not free to do.
Right.
And when we do presentations and we're out in the community and we're making those connections, we know we're helping people. We know that there is a story behind that person taking those brochures and that they can truly help and identify and save people's lives. And it's because we are supported by so many great people, and we need to continue that support. We need to continue having this great community of impact behind us.
Yeah. And I think another big resource that you might not have thought of is ask your boss. A lot of companies will donate because they get tax write-offs, to be honest. And so if they're going to donate money, AFSP is a great place for them to donate.
Yeah, and speaking of that too, ask for matching. So usually there's a lot of companies, especially here in the Seattle area, that will match dollar for dollar if you donate. So look at your company policy, see if you can submit, and shout out to those larger companies and even smaller companies that are able to do that, because that is a way to invest into the community and into helping people really acknowledging their mental health.
Yes, absolutely.
All right. Well, let's go ahead and move on to an honor to introduce Dr. Christine Moutier with the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. We're going to do a little shout out. She's actually from Washington State, which is really exciting to know. This is her home base. She now lives in New York and is the Chief Medical Officer for the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. Please take a listen and thank you.
Hi everyone. Medical Officer at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention. It's really my pleasure to take this opportunity to thank you for being involved and participating in the Out of the Darkness experience. Even though we can't be together in person, we can come together to raise awareness about suicide and suicide prevention and to support each other and the mission at AFSP. Thank you to our hardworking volunteers and staff for supporting the Out of the Darkness experience. Without their tireless efforts, we could not continue the life-saving work in suicide prevention that we do at AFSP. And I'd like to tell you a little bit about what has been going on at AFSP related to our work and the mission. This past year, we have funded 38 new suicide prevention research studies, and that brings our total current investment to $20 million, funding 100 ongoing current research studies in suicide prevention, making us the largest private funder of suicide prevention research. Through our 30,000 plus voluntary field advocates, we are leading the way in mental health and suicide prevention advocacy at the federal and state level, with over 50 state laws and 13 major federal policies being enacted into legislation just in the last several years alone. And most recently, AFSP has played a role in leading the establishment of the 988 three-digit number for people in crisis. We are truly a grassroots meets science organization with a long-standing dedication to those who have lost loved ones to suicide, and now people with lived experience as well. But on the Saturday before Thanksgiving each year, many of you know that AFSP supports hundreds of large and small International Survivors of Suicide Loss Day events. And in 2019, there were 417 of those events in 26 countries around the world. And this November, we hope to see the same, even through virtual means of coming together. We are also working at AFSP in collaboration with the media and entertainment industry to shine a light on hopefulness in mental health and ways that we can support people who are struggling long before a suicidal crisis is reached. So by working with these content creators, we can make sure that stories that are being developed now for media and entertainment are drawing on the best research in terms of the difference that family members, mental health professionals, teachers, counselors, that we can all make, and that hope and resilience are in fact possible, and not only possible, but that we can make a difference in that way for suicide prevention. So none of that would be possible without your support. And we thank you again for joining in the Out of the Darkness experience, joining with us to prevent suicide. With all of us working together, we can and we will prevent suicide. Thank you so much.
Dr. Moutier, out of the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention's national office. We so greatly appreciate your support and your local efforts here as well. So Emily, what's going on later on today that we know about?
I mean, Sunday football, of course. There was a big 12 on one of the buildings as I was driving by, so.
Very exciting for Sunday football and for our Seahawks to be taking on the Dallas Cowboys.
Yes.
I want to stop and I want to say thank you to Dak Prescott for his willingness and leadership to speak about his mental health and his own family's mental health and their crisis. We think that that is a great step in the right direction. It's so by chance, though, Emily, we've been working with some special individuals. We call it the Essential Hope Team here at the American Foundation for Suicide Prevention, Washington State Chapter. And these groups of individuals, they know what it's like to be on the gridiron every Sunday morning. They know what it's like to be an athlete, a high-performing athlete. So without further ado, I would love to introduce Hamza, BJ, and Phil. Take it away, guys.
Oh, there it is. All right, gentlemen, what's going on?
Yeah, good seeing y'all.
Always. So here we are. Hi, everybody. My name is BJ Williams. I do a lot, man. I'm an educator, former athlete, football and track. I've been in entertainment. I model. I act, do voiceovers. I've done it all. I started this mental health platform called Can I Be Vulnerable, which is really just a docu-series where Black men give their mental and emotional health journey with a very personal story. And it's kind of evolved to a bunch of other things, a curriculum for students, working on the mental health bus to bring these services to the communities. I am now working with AFSP on a few things. So here we are about to have a discussion with two certified geniuses. I don't care what they tell you after I said that, but these gentlemen have so much knowledge, man. It's crazy. Their life experience for one, and just the research that they've done, the knowledge that they've attained, the things that they're going to say, please take note. And so we're just going to have a Can I Be Vulnerable kind of session with two guys that I put my life in their hands, honestly. Brother Hamza, brother PhD Phil, y'all take it from there. Go ahead, Phil, go first.
Yeah, well, hello. Again, my name is Phil Tyler, and I'm just happy to be here. You know, this is a conversation that has been going on, needs to go on, and must continue to go on for us to truly have impact, particularly in our community, particularly at this time, particularly at the reckoning with our nation that's going on. I'm an Air Force veteran. I am the past president of the Spokane NAACP. I'm a father, and I'm a lost survivor. My son took his life by suicide at 22. And that's what brings me here with these two talented brothers, just to really share a message, candid conversation, to let you know out there, it's okay.
Brother H.
My name is Hamza Abdullah, retired NFL player, author, filmmaker, servant of God, servant of the people, man of the people. Do my best to leave a lasting legacy of loving for my brother and sister what I love for myself. And through my personal struggle with suicide ideation, and I had a suicide attempt in 2018, and just the dark places that I've been has given me a newfound respect and honor for those of my brothers and sisters who are struggling, who are on their mental health journey. And I pray that, you know, through these discussions, through teams like this Essential Hope team, through organizations like CIBV, Can I Be Vulnerable, and AFSP, we can come together to eradicate suicide, to come together and hold hands with each other and show that you're not struggling alone. You don't have to struggle alone, and we got you.
All right, so we're going to bounce around a lot. And this is such a raw kind of thing. I don't have a script, but I want to jump into something that Ms. Justine gave to us about checking in. And a lot of the narrative is, how do you check in with the people? You know, just checking in with your people. But the other side of that is that when people check in on you, your response. And it's rare that we have that conversation. So when Justine brought it up, I wanted to talk about, what do you say or what do you do when people do tap in with you? Because a lot of times it's check in on your friends, check in on your people and your family, check in and say this and say that. This is how you start that conversation. But how do you receive that conversation, right? And I know for me personally, I just within the past year got into a space where I'm comfortable saying, like, I'm not okay. Like, I'm not all right now. And if I'm fine, I'll say it, because you know what it is. How you doing? I'm good. You shrug it off. You know us. I'm good. How you feeling? I'm just trying to get like you, black man.
Right.
Yeah, I'm good. It's day to day. I'm just black man trying to make it. But to be honest, I just got into a space where I'm like, you know what? I'm not doing all right. Or I could be better. Or I'm trying to get better. Wherever I am, I just got into a space where I'm comfortable to say what it is that I'm actually feeling. So I'm going to ask you, gentlemen, when people tap in with you, how do you respond? How do you receive that? Because the narrative is so much on respond or getting to these people to talk. But when people come to you, how do you respond when they're tapping in with you?
Whew, that's a good one for me. And PhD Phil, if you don't mind, I'll start. For me, and BJ, kudos to you that you're able to voice that and to articulate, hey, I'm not doing well. For me, I read the message and I take it in. Like I take it like it's a bite of a burger, and I'm assessing, man, is this a good burger? Do I take it back? Do I send it to the kitchen? Or what do I do with it? So when someone is checking in with me, like you both do, Justine does, I do my best to evaluate right then and there. When someone asks me how am I doing, or when PhD Phil asked me, Hamza, what have you invested? How have you invested in yourself today? Like, I can't just text back like, man, I'm doing great, or man, I did this for myself. No, I have to be honest with myself, which is why a lot of the time I don't text back for a few hours. Sometimes it goes a few days. It's not because I'm ignoring the individuals checking in. It's that I need to validate that question. I need to be honest. I'm not going to lie to you. And so I think it's very important that as brothers and sisters, as a community, we do check in. But maybe I'll ask you guys, kind of flip that question on YouTube. What is a better way to get someone like me to engage with you at that time, besides the general, how are you doing?
You guys for that. And there's a lot more to that talk, right?
There is, and we'll be actually continuing this dialogue throughout the year. So we definitely encourage you to get connected, like our Facebook, but also our YouTube channel. So the whole video is on YouTube. It's actually close to an hour-long discussion, and they're absolutely incredible men, BJ, Phil, and Hamza. Thank you so much for your tireless efforts in suicide prevention and bringing the conversation to men and how to have that conversation. I think is a huge, huge opportunity for us to continue to move forward. So YouTube channel is a great place. You can find us at AFSP Washington on YouTube.
We also have to thank some of our amazing sponsors. You know, the Providence Pacific Medical Center, Swedish, everyone who has been a sponsor with us. We also want to thank our regional sponsor, Providence. Here's a short video about our partnership and leadership Providence provides that includes Swedish and PacMed.
Hello, I'm Dr. Robin Henderson, and I'm a psychologist with Providence Health System. At Providence, we understand the impact the pandemic has had on our communities and on your mental health and wellness. And I'm here to tell you that you're not alone. Hope is not canceled. Hundreds of Providence caregivers and staff are joining the Out of the Darkness Walk. Our teams are made up of doctors, nurses, administrators, and mental health workers. We know the impact of suicide on our work in the front lines of healthcare, and we feel it personally too. We want our communities to know that they are never alone when dealing with suicide and mental illness. With 1 in 5 Americans impacted by mental health issues, Providence is forming partnerships to reach even more people before a crisis occurs. If you or someone you love needs help, please look for community resources at providence.org. I invite everyone who cares about suicide to join us in coming out of the darkness and walk with us so that we can begin to heal. Thank you, and be well.
And make sure you continue to donate at just afsp.org/WA together, correct? WA together. I want to make sure I get that because it's very important. The last few weeks, we've heard so many people's stories. And in 2018, over 48,322 people died by suicide. And suicide impacts all of us, and many of us have known someone. So by telling your story and connecting to the AFSP, you will save so many lives. I mean, suicide is the 10th leading cause of death in the US. 10th leading cause. In 2018, there was an estimated 1.4 million suicide attempts. That number is staggering. And we are fighting for that 48,322 people. And we honor all of those survivors and give a community to those who struggle so they don't feel alone.
Amen.